Thank you again. When I was 8 and a new student in Mrs. Phillips' third grade classroom, two boys sitting behind me asked me what I was. "Are you Black?" one said. I was surprised. Turning in my seat, I squinted my eyes in confusion and exclaimed, "No, I'm not Black, I'm Muslim. What difference does it make? Stop judging me." Glancing around at the amused looks on their faces, I turned away and stayed quiet for the rest of the day, waiting for it to end. Later, I told my mom about what the boys had asked and my response. She explained that they had probably seen her wearing a head covering and were trying to figure out my ancestry. She told me a little about American history and racial issues, pointing out that the boys were probably just curious and didn't mean any harm. This was the first of many incidents that I have encountered as a Black, Afro-Arab Muslim woman navigating a Western racial landscape. Those third grade boys were trying to figure out what box to put me in, and the boxes they knew and understood were based solely on skin color. What they and I discovered that day was that I did not fit in the boxes. My name is Isra Ibrahim. I'm 19. I'm a junior at college. I am from Sudan, and I am a practicing Muslim. And as all good, faithful Sudanese girls do, I want to grow up to be a mom while studying to be a full-time neurosurgeon and protesting anti-Black Islamophobic patriarchy on the weekends. To put it all in perspective, I am a Black Afro-Arab Muslim woman. Afro-Arabs are Africans who have been Arabized over time and now have a predominantly Arab culture, which can be seen in the food and social customs, the music and dance, our dress, and language. As such, I speak a Sudanese dialect of Arabic. And as a visibly Black person, I've experienced for a long time an almost daily and frustrating attempt to racialize my body and self. I became aware of racial, ethnic, cultural, and linguistic distinctions very early. When I was 11, I made sure that when I spoke to Sister May, my proud Palestinian Arabic teacher, that I trimmed my Sudanese dialect so thin that my Arabic never remembered Black. When I was 13, I wrapped hijab so tightly around my throat so that the edges never gave away my Black African hair. For me, speaking Arabic wasn't just a cultural fact. It was essential to my claim to Arabness and even my survival. I understood at an early age that it was socially better to be Arab than to be Black. That to claim my Arab identity over my Black African one would make it easier for non-Black people to digest and accept me. I learned this from the daily doses of anti-Black speech and the reality of immigrant culture. This came from fellow Muslims, communities of color, and others. So, throughout my middle and high school years, I primarily identified as an Arab Muslim. But it was never simple. For one thing, the word Sudan translates to Black and is described as the land of Black people. However, in Arabic, and even in my dialect, no one identifies as Black or white. As Americans, the ways we identify are very one-sidedly categorical. Western racial categories fail to capture the multifaceted ethnic and cultural global identities that ultimately render people like me a racial paradox. For how can I possibly be both Arab and Black? I don't fit in the racial paradigm. But asking such questions would be to admit that race is biological and that Black is what all people from the African diaspora identify as. And we do not. That is a fantasy founded and maintained by a white majority. And when I came to understand this, I felt myself grow and relax from the contortions I had spent years attempting in order to try and fit in the limited choices of boxes I was presented with. Boxes that were never made for me, boxes that forced me to choose between my identities every time I was asked to choose a box, a category for my race. But you're not really Arab, some people say. You just speak it. Okay, well then, what defines an Arab? Arabs themselves make up a pan-ethnicity of people. And with the process of Arabization that has occurred throughout history to various people in various places, modern Arabs now share either a cultural, linguistic, or genealogical trait. My history has suffered under British colonialism, British imperialism, and Sudan was only liberated in 1956. I know what it feels like to be an outsider to my own body. And now I deny attempts that conjoin my body to the imagined reality of what I'm supposed to be. I am definitely a Black Afro-Arab. The Sudanese people are among the most culturally and ethnically diverse populations, and my existence resists Western terms that seek to define and speak about my body as they wish. I cannot water parts of myself to help you understand. My narrative is important, and I make sure now that interested strangers and well-meaning teachers remember it. To the two Black boys who asked me if I was Black, here's my response. My Muslim answer was my approximation of myself. All I knew and the people I hung out with were Muslim. Black to me, I thought, was this foreign culture all on its own. And this label and weight it carried sparked a visceral self-hatred that took a long time for me to accept and overcome. Now that I understand this, I won't claim that I still don't have internal battles about my identity. I still question at times if I'm Arab or Black enough. But I have the space now to hold honest conversations about where I stand and how I can use my personal intersectionality to oppose concrete Western boxes like Black and white. My world is much bigger than that. أنا عاوزة أتكلم بلهجتي السودانية العامية وما أخلي العرب غير الأفارقة يستهزئون بي. I'm going to speak my Sudanese dialect and not allow white Arabs to shame it. أنا عاوزة أتكلم بلهجتي السودانية العامية عشان أوريكم نفسي الإفريقية. I'm going to speak my Sudanese dialect and claim my African identity. أنا هنا أقول لكم عن تاريخي. I am here to dictate my history's narrative. My body has been colonized 100 times over. My culture bought and appropriated, my religion stomped and crucified, and for the 100th time, my skin washed and colored, smooth and slicked, until all my body knows and does is to always give. And in this trauma of always giving, my body constantly fit to the perfect racializations of my mind. Being Black, Arab, African, and Muslim, it's at this complex, special place where I best fit and understand. My being, again, will not be forced to contort in a place that only exists in the imagination of white men. I cannot be made for others to understand. My being is for my understanding. I am a Black Afro-Arab Muslim woman, and I have always existed.